All right, you guys, welcome back to a very special installment of Holy Metal. It is my pleasure, my privilege, my honor to welcome two amazing men of God, two fantastic musicians. We have percussionist Mr. C.G. Ryche and the great Sean Silas, guitarist of Holy Ryche and IronWrath. How you guys doing?
Good. We're totally good.
Killer.
Yeah, we just got done just practicing.
Yep.
Nice.
All's good.
Nice.
Rainbows and butterflies.
Hey, that's sounds like you're living the dream over there. That's what I like to hear. So thank you guys again for taking the time to come on the show. I've been listening to Holy Ryche a lot lately, and really revisiting the album over the course of about a year. And I've gotten some people who are also familiar with the album who were hoping that I would cover it on the show. And so here we are. And I was hoping to kind of get the inside scoop from you guys. I know, understandably, metal has changed quite a lot over the last 40 odd years or so. And I love asking people who have been in the scene for a while, not just over the last 5 or 10 years, what was it that really brought you to pursue this? I mean, because on one hand, you had secular metal communities kind of looking at this whole idea of Christian metal as a joke. And on the other, you had traditionalists in the church thinking this was kind of a disgrace to Christianity. Where was the middle ground for you guys? What kind of paved the way for this to happen and allow you to see it for something authentic, for what it really was?
I think back then, both Sean and I both came out of secular worlds. I mean, I was a 15-year-old pothead in a secular band. Didn't know Jesus. Had no clue. Nobody told me. Right? Nobody's out there tell me that Jesus died for my sins. Sean came out of a band called Free Will, named after Ryche, which later became Holy Ryche. But back then, yeah, it was totally different. If you were just a hard rock scene in general was different, man. People at church, they would shun you out of Calvary Chapel. Nobody would, turn around and shake people's hands, and they wouldn't even look at you. Or you go to a men's retreat, and they would remember. I was at a Harvest men's retreat. None of this reflects on the church. It reflects on individuals and their little minds. But I remember he was talking to his friend. He was talking to me, but he was talking to his friend, so I would hear it. Talking about, playing in 2/3, that's the beat of the devil, and anybody that does that is going to go to hell. And now as a young Christian, I'm going, number one, there's no such thing as 2/3. There isn't. And it's like, but the idea that you're saying that to hurt me when, man, maybe I'm not as good as you. Maybe I'm not, the perfect guy or even somebody that deserves to have salvation offered to me, right? Who am I? I'm a dirtbag, long-haired musician, but God reached out to me, man, and said, hey, man, I love you, man. Matter of fact, I would have died for you if you were the only one on planet who would have sinned, man. And that rocked me, man. So I gave my life to him. But I was just me. I don't know how to be this person or that person, and I'm not wearing a suit. I'm not doing any of that. I'll do whatever God wants me to do. But as far as I've read, it didn't tell me to do anything other than to follow Him and to do unto others as they'd have to do unto me, right? That's it. So it was hard. Churches really did not. It wasn't okay to be in a hard rock band. And, it's just a phase. Hopefully God will save you out of there, and get you playing some new wave. I don't know. New wave. I don't know. It was a dark time for Christianity. When bands like Stryper came out, it was like, what the hell? I mean, they really blew the doors wide open because and once again, Stryper was a secular band as well. They became Christians in the band. And then they go, well, let's just change the lyrics, and it's what they did. And you can find out a lot about that. There's a new documentary came out called Jesus Music. And if you haven't had a chance to see that, you should watch that. And there's a lot of the tone I'm talking about from the Larry Normans and everything else in that movie. And, like mid 80s back, it was a very dark time for Christianity. Be a Christian, have long hair, and to say, hey, I'm doing this heavy metal music for Jesus. No, it was unaccepted. So.
Yeah. You bring up a great point. I haven't watched the documentary yet, but I have heard about it, and I've heard some really great things. Really I think it's amazing the ability that God has to meet us where we're at, and it's not just Him condescending to our level. It's Him being able to work through where we're at. And so in a lot of ways, like what you were saying, the same passion that drove you guys to create through the style of music that you were familiar with, that you liked, I think just speaks volumes to God's grace with us and His unique sense of personality. I think that's one of the many attributes of God that just make Him such an amazing creator, is the fact that he loves us each on a personal level and will use our interests in order to honor Him.
The Pharisees
hold all of our interests captive to.
Yeah. The Pharisees would look at dirty hands.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
The Pharisees would look at you with dirty hands, eating something clean. God's always looked at the heart. He's looked at the heart. He didn't care if your hands are dirty, what kind of clothes you're wearing, what kind of car you drive. He looks at your heart, man. And He wants you to open your heart and let Him in. And He wants you to, turn from your life, pick up your cross, and follow Him. That's His goal. And that's why we were created. That's why we're here. To first and foremost know Him. And second is to be a what's the word with the C? It's Corinthians 3:20. To be I'm old, I forget these sentences. To be an ambassador.
An imitator?
An ambassador for Christ. I think that's Corinthians 3:20, I think. So yeah, we're to be ambassadors for the kingdom, right? And so that our lives should shine, in the darkness, man. And as far as I know, all the darkness in the world can't extinguish even the smallest flame. So God's called us to be a light, right? Matthew chapter 5. Matthew chapter 5. No, that would be 5.
Sermon on the Mount.
Matthew chapter 5. Yeah, verses 12 to I think 15. God's, you put a light under a bundle and put it on thing, let your light shine. He's called us to be a light, man. So, anyways.
Absolutely. No, I think you touched on
this whole delay thing. On
Where are you calling from?
Well, you guys touched on. I am in Orange County. Yeah. So I'm hanging here at home. What's that?
You should come by come by. We'll let you come by in person. We'll
hey, that'd be awesome. Yeah. Just drop me a message. I'd love to drop by.
We'll do that.
Yeah. So, I mean, you guys are touching on a lot of really great points, and I would love to take a minute to talk about the record here for a second. In looking at the in revisiting some of the outfits, no, I'm just kidding. Looking at the liner notes, I'm seeing you guys thank Pastor Bob and Steve at Sanctuary. Is that really where you guys got your start with Sanctuary?
No, but we knew them. Bob
really well.
Yeah, I knew Bob very well.
Okay.
Really well. I close to him, and I haven't kept in touch with him. He still does podcasts, but he was a good guy.
I talked to him.
You talked to him? Yeah. We're more from like Harvest, Greg Laurie, kind of more of that camp. Chuck Smith.
Gotcha.
So we're more from there. So
yeah, we used to go visit them over there.
Yeah, we used to go to Sanctuary out in down the beach for a little while. That was the place to be with Christian Holy Soldier and Deliverance, Guardian, everybody was out there, man. But it was kind of cliquey. We never really in Holy Right. We were always black sheep. We never really fit. We never really fit in, and most of it was the lead singer. You know, there was. I think a lot of people saw hypocrisy and a pointing the finger, but not. You know, you don't want to. Bible says you want to give an answer for the man who asks. You know, but if you rebuke a scorner, he's just going to hate you for it, right? So in the community, we always looked at black sheep, and Sean was always. Everyone loved Sean because of his playing. He's like one of the most amazing guitarists out there, and still is. Wait till you hear the IronWraths stuff, mind blowing. But he used to get a lot of. So they loved him. Me, they were cool with me. I overplayed, which I did, and my timing was everywhere. That record, it's just like this. I apologize to anybody who has that record. Trust me, I've worked with the Click the last 30 years. I'm in now, but back then it was like a lick every quarter note, or every fourth bar, all out of tempo and everything else. And I had a lot of energy. I wanted to make sure if I died after the song, you knew I was good. So, it was a trip. But so they liked me a little bit, but Sean was really accepting because he's an amazing guitarist. And Bob was great. Bob was very supportive of us, and in a big way. Bob was a good guy.
Yeah, and I feel like it was, like you were saying, just kind of a dark time, kind of difficult to really give Christian metal a home. And I think it sounds like Bob was able to instill that a little bit and make you guys feel like you had a place, right?
Yeah, of course, man. I mean, it's if you're gonna follow God, you follow God, man, and you don't follow men. And most of the backlash, most of the hardness was more. It wasn't from the world. It was more from the church. Not as in Calvary Chapel, but as in people that would go there. Just people just seem to know everything and want to, put you down, make you feel like, like you're a dumb punk kid that's, doing everything wrong, and and you're just not what we are, and like I said, it would make me question sometimes. Like I said, it's like I would pray, Lord, I'm sorry I'm not as good as everyone else, but I give you everything I got. I give you everything.
Yeah.
I do my best. I'm sorry I'm not these guys, but I do what I can do. So
that's the way to do it. Yeah, and it's easy, I think, sitting here in 2022 to take a look at this record and go, oh man, those guys are awesome. They're such trailblazers. But I mean, a question for you and Sean would be, what was the reception to Stand As One? When the record came out, what was that like? Did you get some favorable feedback from people? Was it just a lot of people saying, you know what, I really don't like this? What was that like? Just releasing that out into the world, and whatever came of it, came of it.
Well, I think with the album and with people that were out there that heard it for the first time, I mean, they were really there for us. We had a lot of support from our families, and our friends, and from Harvest. We actually played Harvest. Was it like on a Friday night or something?
Yeah,
like a youth thing.
Yeah,
but that was cool, and we had a lot of support from all the kids and stuff. And actually, we were kids at the same time. But as far as us playing like in LA and the Hollywood scene, they respected us when we played with the.
We had talent, I mean, with this guy in the band, I had a little bit, but we had some talent, so we got respect from players and bands. So they, and like I said, we never really got a bunch of kickback from secular bands, like, oh my God, you guys think you're Christian, and blah 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 blah. It was like, hey, what's up, man? Hey, I like your drums, and everybody was like just normal. The same with Jesus, right? He had a problem with the people. It was the Pharisees. So it was kind of like that. But another dynamic back then, you couldn't do you didn't do a record on your computer. If you had a record out, you were signed to a record label and you had made it, so so just to have a record out, you were kind of, it did a lot, you know, compared to now. It's like, who cares? Back there's, oh my God, you're a rock star. And so a lot of people would put you on a pedestal or look at you differently than, you know, you wanted them to look at you. But yeah, it was the LA club scene was cool.
Yeah.
You know, it was good. And we used to play a club called Oasis, which was like a Christian club, and it was like a homeless shelter. They would do these free concerts and get bands there, suck them in with the music, but then we preach the gospel, see if we get people saved. And that was pretty cool. It was a good idea, you know. But it was interesting. Most God showed me a lot back then, man. Most of the fruit that I was able to see was never on stage. It was always off the stage. It was, you know, walking around, passing out tracts and in an alley somewhere before the concert, or one-on-one talking to somebody that would whatever. There's always those situations when you're on stage and you tell them about Jesus. You know, maybe it did good or not, but you never saw it. You never knew. You know, but there's always the personal one-on-one stuff that I think we got to see the most effective stuff, because we would just go play. We go set up and we'd run around and, hey man, you know, Jesus, you know, we'd pass tracks out and just, you know, go crazy, man. And, you know, tell people about Jesus. I remember, and we talk about the future, and it's like, oh man, you know, one day they're going to have 10 nations, and, you know, and the ends. You look at what we're at now, we're like, you can see the goal line right there where, you know, the rapture happens and Antichrist takes over. The stage is being set like never before. But back then in the 80s, you knew it was coming, but you just didn't know how. You know, so we talk about it, and it was a trip, man, you know, and so it was good. We played with Holy Right, we played churches a lot.
Yeah.
And a couple clubs, but when we formed Iron Wrath, we really didn't play churches at all. We only played secular concerts, and we would play things like juvenile halls, boys' homes.
Yeah.
We would play like the dirt, which is, you know, more important. We did play Cornerstone, which was huge, man. That was a big deal, and that was a big blessing for us. And we, you know, I think we played a couple shows with Bloodgood and Barren Cross,
Guardian.
Guardian.
Twice.
Did we play with Guardian?
I think so. Yeah, his festivals.
His festivals, yeah. The Deliverance. Not when I was Iron Wrath, though.
Oh, yeah.
We got blackballed. Iron Wrath was really blackballed. No, nobody would touch.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. We didn't care. God called Paul or Peter, you know, go take care of the Jews, man. He said, Paul, go out there and talk to the other people. Iron Wrath was like, go talk to the other people. That's what we did.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, like you were saying, more of the fruit being seen off the stage than on. You know, I know that your work really spoke to people. This particular copy of the album actually was, I bought it from someone in Germany. It had found its way all the way to Germany, and I bought it and came all the way back. So I know that certainly the message and what it did in people's hearts did not return void. And that was one thing I was noticing too, was that a lot of these songs lyrically bear such weight and relevance to what's going on in today's world. A lot of the song Stop Killing the Children, I mean, how applicable is that in today's climate? My gosh. But in touching on sort of I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no.
It's just a whole delay thing.
Yeah,
you're fine.
Yeah. It's interesting. Keith Miles was the one who really wrote the lyrics. The history of Holy Right was Free Will was a band with Sean, Steve joined, the other guitarist in Iron Wrath, and two brothers, Jerry
and John Bedreau.
Yeah, good guys, good little drummer and everything else. And then somewhere along the line, the brothers dropped off, and Keith Miles came around and said, hey man, I'm a singer looking for a band.
Yeah.
And so Free Will became Holy Right. And they came in, started doing shows. They were raising money to do an album. And around 86 is where my buddy, and I was a wild man, but I had my drums, Calvary Chapel Redlands, man. They let me put my drums out in front. They had like this old storage place. They had underground. They let me put my drums down there, man. I go down there and play like 4 or 6 hours a day, and there's a couple guys looking after me. They knew there was something about me, and I kind of needed to be guided a little bit. So they, hey, want to go see a Christian concert? Hell yeah! I was like, so they took me to like some church in Bloomington, and Holy Right was one of the bands, and I remember watching the drummer Todd. He had his toms all mixed up, and Todd's actually a really good drummer now. Really good drummer, great guy. Back then, he wasn't as serious, and so I'm watching, and it was just like, I don't know if he was having a bad night, but it just wasn't the best. But Sean was just blowing my mind. The singer, I'm like, but Sean was blowing my mind. And I came up to him after. I go, dude, man, they stood out, and I go, man, I loved your playing. You remind me of Randy Rhoads, and we kept.
I'll never forget that moment.
We kept in touch, man, and then it was about a month or two later. The singer called, goes, hey, our drummer is getting a new drum set, and he doesn't have a drum set right now. We need to practice. Can we use your drum set? And I was like, yeah. I mean, now I'd be like, hell no. But back then, I was like, yeah, for Jesus, sure, use it. I took my whole drum set over and set it up, and they were waiting. Oh, he's not here. You want to jam? Me? Yeah. So me and Sean just like whack, like soulmates, man. And we were jamming, and the other drummer came and saw it, and it really upset him. And I saw him, oh, here, have fun, enjoy your drum. So let me know when you're done, I'll come pick it up. And I think it was like a day later, I get a call. And it's like, yeah, the drummer quit. You want the gig? I go, hell yeah, I want the gig. So I became drummer for Holy Right. Within 3 weeks, I played my first show. And within 2 months, we cut the album. And so that's kind of the history of Holy Right. But the singer really wrote all the lyrics. And he's very meat and potatoes. So just bam, 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 bam. Unfortunately, his life didn't reflect the words he wrote. Kind of like a lot of big pastors that fall from grace. They preach a really heavy message.
Sure.
Swaggered stuff. They preach a big message, very powerful, very right on, but their lives didn't reflect it, and they fell from grace. Keith was kind of the same way. I don't know if he fell from grace or not, but his lyrics were very straight out. And so when I got in, and I'm a songwriter, but I just came and started playing drums, and so that's what I did. About 2 weeks in the band, they had a meeting and said, "Look, stop doing everything you're doing. Do what the old drummer does, or you're gone." And I'm like, "Well, if you want the old drummer, then go get the old drummer. What do you want me for?" And then I left, and one of my buddies, once again, the church had about 2 or 3 people that watched over me. He goes, "Look, man, if God gave you the talent, that's what God wants you to do with your talent. Who are you to tell him no?" And I thought about it. I go, "That's a good argument, ain't it?" So I go, "Okay." I told him, "Okay, you want me to play like the old drummer? I'll play like the old drummer, whatever you want." And that's what I did. And a month later, I'm just, and
he still played, Chris.
Still being a maniac, but I surrendered. But so the lyrics are, they are real powerful. Satan, leave that boy alone.
Stop killing children.
Some about lies. What is it?
Lies of Men.
Lies of Men. What's the other one?
Actually,
you got the album. Look at the lies.
Yeah, Satan's Lies.
Yeah, Satan lies, and there's like 3 lies.
Lies of Men, and the other one is escaping me.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, that was more a Keith thing. And back then we were young, and we're the band, man. We're playing for God. We didn't really pay attention to any of the business, any of the stuff, which was bad because the reason IronWrath turned into Holy Right was a lot of lack of integrity, to say the least, and just the view that how can you preach the gospel when people are judging your character? You know what I mean? You gotta walk. If you're gonna say, there's an old saying from a saint. He said, "Go into all the world and preach." It's a play on Matthew 5:16, which says, "Go into all the world and preach the gospel, and use words if you have to." And so, and that's kind of how IronWrath formed.
Yeah.
Right. We just got rid of the singer, and we all stayed together, the four of us, and you go, what are we gonna do? Oh, we're gonna get more progressive. That's for damn sure. It's the churches. There's enough bands playing churches. Let's go out into the world. Let's go into deserts and the shadows. Let's go find them. And we became more progressive. Unfortunately, our songs got. I was in control of the producing before I was a producer, so the songs were like 9 minutes long, and it was crazy. But we did. I mean, we opened up for Anvil and a lot of secular bands, and we had a lot of respect. But unfortunately, we didn't understand the business, and we're putting all of our money into pay-to-play shows instead of putting it into finding a producer and making a really good demo to go get signed again. We didn't know, and so we did everything wrong. But that's okay, because as Moses left Egypt, and 40 years later, he was ready to come back. And IronWrath right now is a very, very sharp sword. And so it's going to do some damage, big time.
Sure. Yeah. So you mentioned kind of the transition. The album was cut, and then you went out and played shows as Holy Right, and then this transition took place into IronWrath, where you're going out opening for secular bands. What was a little bit of the influence there? You said it was more progressive in nature, a little bit heavier.
We were listening to a lot more, everything from Tony McAlpine,
Steve Vai, Queensryche,
Frank Zappa.
It got really progressive.
Yeah,
because of my extreme playing with Chris's.
I want to be like Terry Bozzio, dude. Yeah. So, Tommy Aldridge meets Terry Bozzio.
Nice. Because I've heard the Stranger, the one that was included on the that comp CD, and I believe that is the only official IronWrath track that's out there and accessible at the moment.
Yeah. This is like
without revealing too much,
like old school stuff. This is some old 2-inch from back in the day, IronWrath stuff that never got released, and we got there's a mixed version of a demo we did called Circle of Iron with 4 songs that is probably never going to be released, just because the band of where we are now, we're going to try and tackle the world. We're going to be up there, try to be up there with Metallica, Disturbed, Slipknot, any of those bands. It's we got the veterans, the musicians, the production, studio, and the backing right now to do all the above. So going back to the past and what we did in the past doesn't make a lot of sense, though there's those collectors out there that love that stuff. And there's fortunately some great bands out there to do. We've decided, God's really pulled us in a different direction with IronWrath. We started this to redo a CD, to make a CD we never made.
Yeah. Which had the a Stranger in there. But the song was just it was just too long, and it was just too dated. But that's just my opinion too.
Yeah, we're gonna give you, when we get offline here, we're gonna give you a sneak peek at some of the IronWrath stuff. But IronWrath Now is it's looked at as a new project. We have the past, but it's a new project. Different branding, different everything, and it's very encrypted. The whole website is filled with riddles and escape rooms that nobody knows about. And but if people look around, you can find things, and they will take you here and take you there. And there's a lot of history as rewards to digging around. But that's the only way you're going to get history of IronWrath. And what we're really doing now is focusing on, the band right now is a cross between, I would say, Tool, Marilyn Manson, and Linkin Park. With the theatrics of Pink Floyd. That's really what IronWrath is.
Wow, it's a pretty broad audience.
We're a trip down the rabbit hole. We're Alice in Wonderland, But our music, we really push commercially viable courses. It's all about that. So the music, the songwriting is really stressed, and I'll define that. We'll take a song that we write, and then we'll rewrite this part, and we'll push that part. We'll work on the vocals, and the vocals are good, but they're not great. What can we do? We'll work on the vocals more, or maybe we'll change this, or maybe I got to change the beat. We'll dissect it until it's like, that's it. That's a hit. That can do something. And right now we're 10 songs in. I said 10. We're 10 songs in on 13 songs. And right now I would say we don't even have a song that's great. All the songs are label. They sound like it was produced by Mutt Lange and sound like they're coming out on Columbia Records, which is people deserve nothing less. If you're trying to give your music to somebody to enjoy, they deserve nothing less. It's not like, like, I remember I used to hate this in the Christian day. Well, it's for Jesus, so it's good enough. Man, no, it's not. I'll tell you what, if there's anybody in the universe that should be able to eat his cake and have his cake and eat it too, it's Jesus. So if you're going to do something with Jesus, this is not good enough. This is not good enough. Even the best outfit you get is not good enough. But man, don't underplay that for God, man. If our God is the creator, we should have no problem being creative. And so God's really behind those decisions and what we're doing. So IronWrath is just a different caliber of project. And when we come out, we're already working on a film that's in development. That's going to be kind of our distribution. And it's a different project. It's a different caliber. It's a different project. But 30 years later, we've learned to play with the click.
So much is so. I mean, for 30 years, man.
33, actually.
33. Yeah. So there's that time frame of us going through things. Like I've done so many other projects in different bands, and I've grown so much and learned so much, and to bring it to the table now, it's like, wow, this is what I wanted to do back in the day, and now we have the chance.
And our lead singer is really what helps open the door. We had a singer that was I was using the singer for Survivor for the tracks, just to lay everything out so we could give it to the real person when it was time. So I get out my head, because God forbid you hear me try to sing. And the singer that was here, he goes, look, I don't know if I can get there, but I think I can. But give me some time. So we gave him 7 months, and we recorded. We released IronWrath, the Freedom video. We put that out. I don't know if you had a chance to see that. The style of the band is not that anymore. We've gone a lot darker. But with that said, we were able to nail a singer that's. He's been in some of the biggest heavy metal bands in the world, and still goes out and plays with some. So we have a world-class singer, which allows us to really push that bar. Plus, he's a world-class engineer, produces albums, everything else. I got a background in producing. I'm also a film director, writer. Sean's in the visual effects, also world building and that stuff. So we have an ecosystem. God has provided an ecosystem within IronWrath currently to really push the envelope, because like I said, I think people matter, and the experience of the band and the music and the what's being said and what it matters, and people matter. So we just want to make sure that we put something out that's worthy, of a space in their iPhone or Android, that when there's so many great bands out there, because it really is. There's some really, really good bands out today, secular or Christian. There's a couple, Devil Wears Prada, but a lot of these bands are Shinedown. They're great. Shinedown's great. But you can't count them on one hand. But they're great. So but those are bands that are one in a millions, and that's what you really want to be. You want to be that one in a million. So that way people they listen, they can relate to it. They can't get the melody out of their heads, and that's really and what music does. It takes people's minds off of their bills, the stress. But what it can also do, it can dig down deep in the shadows and go places and deliver messages. Like if your dog's sick and you got to give it a pill, you wrap it in some meat and trick it, right? It's kind of what heavy metal does.
Right.
What the devil does with heavy metal.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you brought up a great point. It's really important to keep in mind that we should be working for the Lord and not for men, and not use that as an excuse to be lazy, but to work our hardest. And the fact that you guys are bringing that to the table is really exciting. And you actually answered one of my questions. I was going to ask if the musical direction was similar to that of Freedom. So we got that covered. But CJ, I was noticing just in because you're also an incredible filmmaker and director on top of everything you're doing musically. And in what I've seen, you have a really unique ability to create these beautiful moments between two people. And it doesn't have to be between two people, but you're able to capture a moment really well. And so seeing kind of what that looks like in a musical platform and dimension, I think is a really exciting prospect. And you just getting to work with the guys is great. I saw that the identity of the singer is going to be concealed until a later date. So you have us on the edge of our seats here.
Oh man, thank you for your kind words. I take them to heart. Thank you so much. But the singer, we talked and we thought, let's just do the creative process, because once people know, a lot of magazines are going to be coming. Oh my God, you got, it's gonna, and we don't want to turn that switch on yet. We just want to get through the creative process by ourselves. We take our time, and which we're pushing, but there's a lot to do. So we're taking our time, and we actually, on our website, if you go to our music, there's actually a play-by-play that's always updated on where we are in our production. But once we get through that, then we will reveal it, and then also the music will come out. We'll have some music videos, and there's a lot of exciting stuff. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of stuff. Once again, if you search the website and you pay attention, especially on the screensaver page or screensavers, there's a lot of keys and riddles that are pathways throughout the world of IronWrath, and they take you to there's sneak peeks of the music on there. There's sneak peeks of videos on there. There's stuff we're working on right now that's high-end stuff. But what we want to do is once it gets out, people figure it out. It'll be more of an experience. It'll be like all this cool things and places to go that and riddles to solve, amongst our music and our videos. And the real thing is to create, a space in someone's imagination. And when we mention bands like Pink Floyd, Tool, those are bands that really, really do stuff like that. So my daughter. But what they really do is they create a world in your imagination, and for us, that's what we're trying to do is create motifs, emotions, and things that touch the heart and mean something through audio, through lyric, story, through visualization of video, and that whole world. So it's once again, it's to bless people. I think if you take music like a cake and you throw all the ingredients in there and you mix it up, you can make something as a musician that can get you a free meal, or get the hot girl's phone number, or have people come up and go, "Oh my God, you signed a couple $100. Yeah, here you go, kid. One day maybe you'll be half as good as I am. Make you stroke your ego." Or you can take that same thing and make something that can build people up, that can bless people, that can help people live a better quality life, or even better yet, introduce them to the Creator. And in IronWrath, we believe that that's the best way to view music. And so we put our efforts there. we put so much time into this project just to get it to where it's going to be, much less financials, much less prayer, and all these other things we're doing that people don't. We can't even post it because it's secretive stuff for you guys to discover. So we can't even post what we're doing, and we're like, want to look at what we're doing, and it's not part of the branding, so we can't. It's rough. It's rough on us because this guy likes to post.
I love posting. I ain't gonna lie.
He's like, I need to post. I need to post.
Yeah. So with that being said, yeah, when the stuff gets out there, then I probably won't have to do too much of that because it's really strong. So once it gets out there, and hopefully it'll have its own thing going on. But I'm really blown away that you not blown away because there's like a lot of people that like the album from the Holy Right stuff.
No, it's amazing that somebody likes that.
Yeah, and that and that stuff. Just to keep it real, that's actually a free will stuff that Keith came in and he just added the lyrics, which is which is awesome.
It's your Holy Right.
That's loud. we just got done playing and my ears are burned and I'm hearing that. Oh my gosh. So
I can hear you loud and clear over here.
So it's like to have those two elements with him with his lyrics, and just to fill you in on something that was that's a trip. When we heard the album the first time, it sounded pretty good. But there was a guy that was there that was doing like the recording part of it, the engineering part of it, and he was on cocaine.
And he got left with Keith.
Yeah, him and Keith, they brought the vocals way up there, and the music got buried from his vocals being up there, and that's just how it is.
And I didn't know nothing about playing with a click back then, and it was never suggested. Matter of fact, back then I would play the drums by myself, and then he would come in, or Randy would play bass by himself, guitars by everything was isolated. It wasn't even like because you don't get to feel that way.
Yeah.
If you're a seasoned pro, like I could do it now and sign, we could do it, play separate. You would never know it, but that's 40 years later. Back then, no.
Yeah. So for people to like the music now, like 33 years later, that's pretty cool.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I just want to make it clear to you guys because I've talked with a lot of people in Christian metal, and I always want to make it really clear that it's never my goal to make people feel like I'm trying to track them down and get something from them, and I never intend to freak people out by hitting them up and saying, "Hey, I really liked your song from 40 years ago." That's never my goal. It's first and foremost it's like I say at the beginning of every episode, to promote the influence of Christian metal across the globe, gospel through music, through this unifier that we all love. So I'm grateful that you guys can relate to that and understand that for sure. But yeah, Sean, like you were saying, the music all these years later still brings a heck of a punch. So yeah, thank you guys.
Absolutely, man. And you're doing a good job preaching the gospel.
Yeah.
Appreciate that, man. The rightly divide the word of truth, and to put it in its context, it's very powerful, man. So keep doing what you're doing, and on this end, we'll pray for you that you keep doing what you're doing. So not about the PR or anything like that, but this is all we're both doing the same thing, just different ways.
Well, I really appreciate it, you guys, and I'll end with this. Is there a tentative ballpark time within the year, or maybe later on, that we can expect to see IronWrath release something?
Oh yeah, it'll be this year, Lord willing. We are, I would say, within 4 months from now, because right now we're 10 songs in. I was gonna go tomorrow and record another one, but I'm burnt. I'm working on script. I'm working on these other scripts for other stuff. Me and him just finished up a new song, last Friday. But we're real close. We worked on it. We practiced and we worked on an acoustic one tonight. We're gonna put on there, Shine Down style. But once we get that done, we gotta do editing,
Nice.
which is to really clean everything up, tighten everything up, all the way down throughout the whole album. From there, we go into mixing, which is a major studio with some great converters and chassis and a nice front end, with Neves and everything else. Go through the mix down process, and then we'll probably send our stuff out to New York. Somebody's got a couple gold records hanging on the wall to master the album, and then that's it. So all of that will be done with recording vocals within a month, and I would say within. And we're not going to like mix everything at once, so we'll have songs ready to start mixing on right away. So I would say once we start mixing, I don't see why within a month and a half, we shouldn't have the album ready to go. And then just about mastering. But mastering doesn't really take that long, because everything's like really good. A mastering guy just really comes in, separate set of ears, and a tuned room with, a couple $1 million worth of gear, can really put that Christmas on the album and make it sound the continuity to the album to be really nice. So if you get selected for Octane Radio, your technical writer of the song is good enough to fit between a Shine Down and a Metallica. You know what I mean? The caliber, the quality has to be there to be able to meet those standards, or you're not even they can't even play it. Much less the opportunity to do that, because those things are really closed and private, and there's a lot of things. But like I said, we're going to be looking more movie stuff and stuff like that. That's going to crack open the door for us. So we're excited. We're excited about the whole thing. So yes, hopefully, Lord willing, within 4 months, you will absolutely hear some IronWrath release. We wrap this up. We'll show you a couple songs, and we're actually having next week. We're having inviting a couple people by to hear rehearsal. So if you want to be included, I'll make that happen for you. So.
Well, thank you very much, you guys. We're going to wrap it here, but just again, I want to thank you guys so much for taking the time to chat. And you heard it right here. Be sure to check out cgryche.com as well as IronWrath.net for the latest updates on the new album. And we'll look forward to having you back on soon.
Sean's got a website too.
Oh, mine's easy.
It is easy. It's look at me play guitar really fast too. .com.
No, I wish it was like that. No, it's just
please plug your website.
It's silasoftheLambs.com.
You had to think about that
for a second,
dude.
SilasoftheLambs.com. I gotta say that's really rad.
Thank you. See, I already got good feedback.
Okay, it's cool. And tune into the podcast,
cool.
Man.
Cool.
Support this guy.
Yeah,
he's a good guy.
Thank you. Yes, please come follow Holy Metal Podcast, and we will see you back here next time. Thank you, guys.